I think Puffy would have seemed like he ain't that dumb that he's going to leave a money trail. trail. You know what I mean? So even if he did it, he probably did it through third person, fourth. Like he's he's not stupid.
Past protege Napoleon has spoken endlessly about it. You can catch 50 Cent trolling the possibility every chance he gets on his socials, and Eminem rapped about it eons ago. Fact is, there's a whole lot of OGs out there in the industry that know for certain did he place the contract on Toc's head. But there's a lot of complications at the moment, not enough evidence and unreliable witness in Keefe D, and the fact that Diddy has built this billion dual fortress around himself, but not all's lost 'cause amongst the OGs lending their voice to this case, there's Ice Cube, and he's been dropping hints for a while now.
Who killed Tupac and Biggie? I think both of these dudes were assassinated in some kind of way. More Biggie than Tupac. I think Tupac might got killed by a dude that they had an incident with earlier that day.
But hey, before we jump into the deep end, there are questions we got to ask ourselves and a ton others that need answering, like why would Cube even care about this case? Like what's the connection? And why would Cube of all people come after Diddy? I mean, what difference does it make to the case? Well, you don't know, Cube, if those questions haven't answered themselves already in your head, but don't worry, I got you. If there's anyone that can send the fear of the devil down Puffy's spine, it is the NWA. Eggin himself, here's why P. Diddy is really scared of Ice Cube.
Pac, he was still part of Digital Underground, and he was just the cool young. We was both the young in around the group, so we would hang and kick it, and just had real cool camaraderie.
The case still remains the same. Nothing much has changed. Diddy will be facing trial in a second. Prosecutors are still scrambling for evidence, and Diddy is chilling in his mansion, making a gospel album with Tiana Taylor like nothing's ever going to happen to him, and he maybe be right for all the evil this man has done throughout his career, from the locks to Mace to how he deconstructed Danity Kane. Diddy has always come out unscathed, always been the one who got away, always the one who comes out on top. Even worse, he's profited off everything. How else do you think he racked up $1 billion bands? But does that mean he is untouchable? Hell no. If $3 billion couldn't protect Yeezy when push came shoving, Diddy's fraction of that fortune, which I still reckon as a fortune won't protect him, but for prosecutors to really catch him lacking, they need that push. And that's probably where Ice Cube comes in. Everyone who knows Ice Cube knows he is the real deal, a straight talker. But hey, I wouldn't blame you if you've forgotten his background, his rebellious nature and unapologetic attitude. If there's anyone that could make Diddy squeal, it's him, and that's because he is him. Never been scared to say his mind. Never been scared to tell it as it is. Fact is, Ice Cube has been wild from the jump. The rapper was born O'Shea Jackson in the heart of South Central Los Angeles on the 15th of June 1969. And man, let me tell you, growing up in that neighborhood was tough. I'm talking gang violence, poverty, drugs. These were the everyday realities, and Ice Cube saw it all firsthand. Now, Diddy might have had a father that was literally a drug baron, and his childhood might not have been easy, but the man had and still has zero street cred. Meanwhile, Ice Cube was raised on the streets by the streets. But you know what? That didn't stop the homie from rising above it all and becoming a legend in the world of hip-hop. In the mid-1980s, Ice Cube crossed paths with a talented artist from Compton, Dr. Dre. These two had a fire burn inside them, a burning desire to express their frustration through music. And that's exactly what they did. Along with EASEMC Ren, DJ Yella, and Arabian Prince, they formed the iconic group NW, a short for Y Attitudes. He had started a record label, Ruthless Records, with his music manager Jerry Helen.
Ice Cube won't pump it up. I got all suckers 100 miles and running.
Like to give a shout out to the DLC. Y'all can't play.
News music was like nothing anyone had ever heard before. It was raw, unfiltered, and it spoke the truth about the struggles of inner city life. And whether anyone wanted to admit it or not, Ice Cube was the juice behind it all. Ice Cube's lyrics were powerful, addressing issues like police brutality, racial inequality, and the everyday struggles of the people. When they dropped their debut album Straight Outta Compton in 1988, boy, it was a game changer for hip-hop. The title track, Straight Outta Compton, became an anthem for the youth who felt disenfranchised and unheard. It put Compton on the map and shed light on the social issues faced by its residents. Ice Cube's contributions to NW, a success were undeniable. He was the life force, the primary MC. His unique delivery and powerful lyrics set him apart from the rest. Tracks like Gangsta Gangsta and Express Yourself showcased his lyrical prowess and solidified his status as a force to be reckoned within the rap game. But as Nua's popularity grew, so did the tensions within the group. Ice Cube felt like he wasn't getting the recognition and compensation he deserved. He wanted creative freedom, but Jerry Heller was against it, and ultimately EE took his music manager's side. These frustrations reached a boiling point, and in 1989, Ice Cube left NWA.
Feel about Ice Cube before he passed away? Because I know they wasn't saying eye to eye before he passed.
You know, Pac, as from what we know, he looked up to Cube. You know, Cube was and we know why he looked up to Cube. I think Pac really had a lot of respect for him.
Departure marked a turning point in his career. Ice Cube was determined to prove himself as a solo artist. And that's exactly what he did. His debut solo album, America's Most Wanted, dropped in 1990, and it was a massive success. It was his storytelling abilities on full display all over again, and his unwavering commitment to addressing social issues head-on. But the beef between Ice Cube and his former group members was far from over. It reached its peak when Ice Cube released a scathing diss track called Ed No Vaseline in 1991. He called out EASE and Jerry Heller, Nua's manager, accusing them of betrayal and exploitation. Man, that track caused a storm in the hip-hop community. Fans took sides, and it became a defining moment in the genre's history. But you know what, good or bad, everything ends, and the NWA beef did exactly that. It came to an end with Ice Cube maintaining his integrity, standing on his business, and showing that he knew his worth, and he could make it without reducing himself. So while you might not have $1 billion to his name, he's got a legacy of connections and good blood to prop him up if he ever decided to take this case on a personal note. But this takes us to the next question. You got to wonder why Ice Cube would even be bothered about Tupac. Sure, they met once or twice, and sure, they was rolling together at some point. But why on earth would he risk his head for someone that passed more than 2 decades ago? Well, it runs deeper than just their meeting. Tupac and Ice Cube were hell of a lot alike, both rebels, both wickedly talented, and both of them would change the game in a way that had been unprecedented. Feel about Ice Cube before he passed away. See you. I know they wasn't saying out I before he passed, pass. Is from what we know he looked up to Q. No, Q was, and we know why he looked up to Cube. I think Pac really had a lot of respect for him. Ice Cube crossed paths with Tupac Shakur during his early days as a Roy for Digital Underground. This was in the late 1980 SA time when hip-hop was just exploding onto the scene, and both Ice Cube and Tupac were on the cusp of greatness. Everyone could see that Tupac was different. There was no denying his talent, and at such a young age. Meanwhile, Pac found himself drawn to Ice Cube, especially his groundbreaking work with NWA. He saw in Ice Cube a kindred spirit, someone who wasn't afraid to speak out against the injustices faced by their communities. Ice Cube's raw and unapologetic lyrics resonate with Tupac, inspiring him to find his own voice and use his platform to address the harsh realities of life. Their unexpected encounter would prove to be a turning point for Tupac in a way. Ice Cube took him under his wing. It was nothing over the top or direct, but during this period, he offered him guidance and a level of mentorship that would play a serious role in Tupac's artistic journey. They bonded over their shared experiences as young black men trying to make a name for themselves in a world, and that often seemed stacked against them. As Tupac's star continued to rise, he never forgot the impact Ice Cube had on his life and career. Death through things when the East Coast West Coast was heating up. I think Com and Cube was going through they beef like they was dissing each other, and I remember Poe was like, "See man, if I was cool with Q right now, I'll be going that comment for him. But now I'm staying out of it, so I think Paz had a lot of love for Cube. I never heard him say anything negative about him. He often spoke about the influence Ice Cube had on him, crediting him with helping him find his voice and giving him the confidence to speak his truth. And if you were keeping it a buck, you'd reckon, as you already know, Tupac was able to make the music he wanted to do as he became one of the greatest and most influential artists of all time.